It Ends With Us author Colleen Hoover is finally breaking her silence on the It Ends With Us drama between Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively. Her own text messages, which have come out through Justin and the experience. Now, I can understand a little bit of what she's trying to get at and through her text and her frustration, but let's go through sort of what was said in this piece before we do sort of the wraparound.
Colleen Hoover has finally broken her silence on the explosive legal battle between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. But what she's saying might shock you. The author of It Ends With Us sat down for a revealing interview, and her words paint a picture that doesn't quite match the evidence we've seen in court. Was she really kept in the dark? Or is there more to this story than she's letting on? Before we dive in, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. This case is moving fast, and you won't want to miss a single update. Now, let's break down what Hoover just revealed and why it's raising even more questions. In a lengthy profile piece, Hoover opened up about the entire situation, and immediately, something stands out. She claims she was barely involved with the film adaptation. According to her, she was on set for only a few days, made a brief cameo, and was otherwise completely unaware of what was happening behind the scenes. But here's where things get complicated. Court documents tell a different story. Text messages between Hoover and Baldoni show she wasn't just some distant figure watching from the sidelines. She was giving notes. She was consulted. In fact, when Baldoni's production company first approached her to buy the film rights, she was thrilled. She loved his vision. She praised his passion for making the story authentic and meaningful. So what changed? Hoover now says she wishes she had more control over the project. She's even launched her own production company to ensure future adaptations stay closer to her vision. Fair enough. Many authors feel burned after selling film rights. But the frustration here is that she signed the deal willingly. She understood what she was agreeing to at the time, or at least she should have. She admits in the interview that when she sold the rights to multiple books.
I'm going to give her that. I'm really bummed by that. I'm so sad any of this drama happened, but my problem is I don't see Justin causing any of this drama. The lawsuit did. And was this lawsuit really worth it? That's ultimately where I'm stuck and why I don't see why Colleen's not equally frustrated that this whole thing is happening in the first place. I feel awful because I almost feel like she's gone through more with the aftermath of this film, more pain than she went through with my dad, just seeing the ugliness of it. It's tainted how Hoover feels about the most personal novel. I can't recommend it anymore. I feel like the lawsuit has overshadowed it, as in the book. She doesn't recommend the book. She sort of disavowed the book. I'm almost embarrassed to say I wrote it. When people ask me what I do, I'm just like, I'm a writer. Please don't ask me what I wrote. Colleen, that's Blake's fault!
Including It Ends With Us. She didn't fully understand her contracts. She claims that's completely her fault. But then she turns around and expresses disappointment with how things unfolded, as if she had no agency in the matter. Which is it? Was she uninvolved and powerless? Or was she an active participant who now regrets her decisions? The interview grows even more perplexing when she addresses the lawsuit directly. Hoover describes the entire legal battle as unfortunate, disappointing, and a circus. She says she finds the negativity sad and chooses to stay removed from it. But then she drops a bombshell. She hints that she has her own story to tell, but doesn't want to bring attention to it or put someone else down to lift herself up. Wait, what story? If she has information that could clarify what really happened, why withhold it? This isn't just some tabloid gossip anymore. This is a legal case with serious implications for everyone involved. Careers are on the line. Reputations are being destroyed. And Hoover is sitting on information that could potentially shift public perception. But she's choosing silence. Why? She goes on to say that she doesn't believe anyone has the actual truth. Not even her. That's a curious statement. If she was there, if she was communicating with both Baldoni and Lively, how does she not have a clearer picture of what went wrong? The reality is, Hoover seems to be trying to play both sides. She doesn't want to alienate Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, two of the most powerful figures in Hollywood. But she also doesn't want to completely throw Justin Baldoni under the bus, especially when the text messages show she had a positive working relationship with him. The problem with that approach? It leaves everyone confused. And worse, it gives ammunition to those who believe this entire lawsuit was unnecessary in the first place. Let's be clear about one thing. The lawsuit that set all of this in motion was filed by Blake Lively. She accused Baldoni of sexual harassment and orchestrating a smear campaign against her. Baldoni responded with his own lawsuit, claiming Lively and Reynolds hijacked the project and launched a coordinated effort to ruin his career.
We are getting an insight into what she wrote Justin, why they stopped talking. Her issue was that she wasn't involved in the film. She's saying it even in this print thing. She was barely there. You were more involved than most were. Justin didn't have to have you involved at all, but he did. You got to give notes. And if you really wanted more control, then why didn't you say that? All these text messages, I don't see anything where you're like, Justin, I'd really like to be a little bit more involved. Hey, I know, can I do this? Da, da, da. You're kind of just like, well, I'm not allowed to be, so I'm not going to say anything, but when I do, I do. But he's asking you, and he seemed like a good enough guy that I bet you he could have gotten you more involved. It just frustrated me the way she's sort of rewriting her own messages, which we can read in these filings and stuff that really do paint a picture that I'm confused, Colleen.
So when Hoover says this has turned into a circus, the question becomes, whose fault is that? She seems to be lamenting the chaos without assigning any responsibility. But someone started this fire. Someone decided that going public with accusations was worth the fallout. Was it worth it? That's the question Hoover refuses to answer. She does, however, express concern for the impact this has had on the actors involved. She says it's affected careers in huge ways. But then she vaguely refers to some of the actors without naming anyone specifically. Is she talking about Baldoni? Is she talking about Lively? Both. The lack of specificity is maddening. Because if we're being honest, the person whose career has been most damaged by this entire ordeal is Justin Baldoni. His reputation has been shredded. His projects have been pulled. He's been dropped by his agency. And yet, Hoover won't say his name. To understand why this matters, let's rewind for a second. It Ends With Us was Hoover's most personal novel. It was inspired by her own mother's experience with domestic violence. The story follows a woman who finds herself trapped in an abusive relationship and must find the courage to break free. For Hoover, this wasn't just another romance novel. It was a deeply emotional tribute to her mother's strength. And when the book exploded in popularity during the pandemic, thanks to Book Talk, it became a cultural phenomenon. Millions of readers connected with the story. It sparked important conversations about abuse, trauma, and healing. When Hollywood came calling, Hoover was understandably cautious. She wanted the adaptation to honor the material. She wanted it to be handled with care. And when Baldoni's production company approached her with a vision that aligned with her values, she felt confident moving forward. But then something shifted. The movie wrapped. Marketing began. And suddenly, rumors started swirling about tension on set. Lively and Baldoni weren't seen together at premieres. Co-stars seemed to be taking sides. And then the lawsuits dropped. Now, the film that was supposed to bring awareness to domestic violence has become synonymous with legal drama and Hollywood infighting. And Hoover is left watching the wreckage unfold. So where does this leave the case? Hoover is scheduled to give a deposition in the coming weeks. That means she'll be questioned under oath about her involvement, her communications, and her perspective on what happened. Here's where things get legally significant. Hoover's testimony could be crucial. If she corroborates Lively's version of events, it strengthens Blake's case. But if her testimony aligns more with the evidence Baldoni has presented, particularly the text messages showing their positive working relationship, it could seriously undermine Lively's narrative. The problem is, Hoover seems reluctant to commit to either side, and that reluctance might backfire. In a courtroom, vague answers and refusal to take a clear position don't play well. Juries want clarity. They want witnesses who can definitively say what they saw, what they heard, and what they believe to be true. Hoover's strategy of staying neutral might work in the court of public opinion, but it won't fly under cross-examination. There's also the question of her business interests. Hoover is launching her own production company. She has multiple book adaptations in the works. If she sides too strongly with Baldoni, she risks alienating powerful Hollywood players who might be essential to her future projects. But if she sides too strongly with Lively, she risks being seen as dishonest, especially when her own text messages suggest she had no issues with Baldoni during production. It's a strategic tightrope, and right now, Hoover is wobbling. What's particularly frustrating is her claim that the lawsuit has overshadowed the book itself. She says she can barely recommend It Ends With Us anymore. She feels embarrassed to talk about it. The drama has tainted something that was deeply meaningful to her. But here's the hard truth. The lawsuit didn't just happen.
Someone made the choice to file it.
Someone decided that going public with these accusations was worth the risk of destroying everything the project stood for, and Hoover's refusal to address that decision head-on feels like a missed opportunity. So, what does this all mean moving forward? If Hoover's deposition reveals significant new information, it could shift the entire trajectory of the case. But if she maintains her current approach of vague statements and carefully chosen words, it's unlikely to change much. What's clear is that this situation has left a permanent mark on everyone involved. The book that meant so much to so many has been overshadowed by legal warfare. The film that was supposed to spark important conversations is now a cautionary tale about Hollywood egos and miscommunication. And Colleen Hoover, the woman at the center of it all, seems caught between wanting to tell her truth and fearing the consequences of doing so. What do you think? Should Hoover speak out more directly? Or is her decision to stay neutral the right move? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you want to stay updated on every twist and turn in this case, make sure you're subscribed. This story is far from over.